Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? I am here again on Thursday for our lunchtime live. So I am trying to be more intentional and going live on Thursdays in this Facebook community between the hours of between 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time and 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So I am proud of myself that we are within our time today. And so I want to thank you all for coming. And so today I want us to talk about a simple parenting trick that honestly I happened to stumble upon. So I'm gonna tell you a story. So I remember one day we were at home, and I'm a parent of two girls, and so we're at home and it's time to do chores. And so I was having a hard time. Honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, right, we're gonna keep it 100 in here. So I was having a hard time getting the girls to just do the thing I needed them to do. So I would send them to clean up their room, and then I would go back and check, and then 35 minutes, 45 minutes, it wasn't done. And so I was getting frustrated. I would send them, okay, well, let me get them another task to do. Maybe they don't want to do the room right now. And so I would send them to maybe clean the bathroom, and then I would go in and check in, and it wasn't done. And I found myself being really frustrated. I found myself being tired of having to say the same thing over and over again. And so what I did in that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm about to set a timer. I'm going to set this timer for 10 minutes. Y'all have 10 minutes to get the room clean the way that you know it's supposed to be clean, or this is going to be the consequence, which I set the expectation of what would happen if they didn't. And so that was how we started the timer. So on that day it worked. So I was like, okay, so this worked. And honestly, I was like, okay, maybe it was just a fluke. And so then I continued to use the timer in different ways in different situations, and I realized that my girls were responding to that. So today I'm going to share with you that is the reason why I use the timer, and I'm going to help you with understanding how it helps keep my house calm and how everybody knows what the expectations are. And so I'm Megan Hamm. I'm a licensed professional counselor, registered play therapist. I'm also a parent-child relationship expert, and I am the host of this community, Tantrums and Meltdowns, Parenting Support for Kids ages 5 to 12. But we definitely welcome parents who are no longer parenting kids age 5 to 12, because this community is about support. We support each other with the things that are going on with our kids and how we can help. And so we share experiences and we share opportunities to be able to support somebody else. So today I want to talk on this live, I want to talk about how I use timers to keep myself and my kids calm in the home, right? And so I'm going to go through three main things. I want to talk to you about three things that come up for me. Because after I used the timers and I found out it worked, it really made me curious as to why it worked. You know, I'm one of those people, if something works well or doesn't work well, I'm going to try to research to figure out what happened. Why? Was it something I did? Was it something I need to do more of? And so here are some of the things that I found out in my personal experience and working with families when it comes to being able to support children who or support us and not being as frustrated in the home. So the first thing that I realized that the timer does is the timer sets some clear expectations. So we're able to identify what the structure is in the home by saying, hey, this is the expectation that I have. We're going to set a timer, and then once the timer goes off, I expect it to be done. But also, the timer removes us from nagging and also getting into power struggles with our kids. Because how many of us raise our hands if we sometimes, it's like, but I told you to do it. And I told you to do it the first time, and I told you to do it the second time. And by the third and fourth and fifth time, now we're upset. And now we're mad. And now it's something bigger than I asked you to clean your room. Because now we're tiptoeing on, oh, you're just being disrespectful, right? Or you're just trying to manipulate me. Or you're trying to do all these things. And it leads us into something else. So the thing about the timer is it helps us to be able to keep that structure of kids love structure. Kids go to school and they have structure at school. Kids go other places and they have structure. And we have to find ways of adding that structure in the home to where it doesn't seem like they are at school or on a schedule. But also, like I said, it removes the nagging and the power struggle. And so an example would be if you ask your child, or tell your child, however you choose to use the word in your parenting. But if you tell your child that it's time to clean their room, or if you tell your child it's time to get ready for bed, or if you tell your child that it's time for brushing their teeth or doing whatever the task is that you need them to do, then you say, hey, it's time for, let's say I need you to go in there and I need you to get the kitchen clean or do the dishes. And I need you to go do the dishes, and I'm giving you 20 minutes to get the dishes done. They need to be done by this time, right? And you give them the 20 minutes, and that's how you set it up. Or if it's, hey, I need you to go in there and I need you to clean those toys up out of the room that you were playing with, or get the toys out the living room, and I'm giving you 5 minutes to get this done, or 10 minutes. You get to set the time. Now, I would definitely encourage you to set a time that's realistic. Not too much time, because we would definitely forget and the kids will kind of lollygag around, but not, hey, get this done right now, or you have 2 minutes to get it done. I definitely would think about gauging where your child is and seeing where they, how old they are, how much time you give, right? So the second point I would like to make when it comes to setting the timer, why I do it, is because honestly, it reduces the parent frustration and it helps keep me calm, right? When I set the timer, I get to take all of my emotion out of the expectation that I'm setting for you. If I want you to clean your room, I don't get to be aggravated. I don't have to be aggravated about you cleaning your room, because I'm saying, hey, you need to clean your room. The timer set for 15 minutes. And then they get to choose, how they spend their time. The other thing is the timer becomes the enforcer. I don't have to be the enforcer. I don't have to be the bad guy. I don't have to be the mean mama. I don't have to do all that, because the timer is the one that's going to enforce that. We set the timer is there. And so now you know that within the next 10 minutes, I need your room clean. Or with the next 15 minutes, I need your room clean. Or like I said, whatever time you choose. And an example of this is, it's okay, hey, I need you to go clean your room. I'm giving you 15 minutes. Right? We set the timer for 15 minutes. My kids are old enough, I have them to set the timer themselves. I feel like that gives them another level of accountability. Do y'all remember when, I don't want to get off track, but you remember why our parents and grandparents would have us to pick our own switch? Right? So it's the same thing. It's the accountability part. But now we're doing it with the timer. So because my kids are old enough, I do have them to set their own timer. And so they'll set it for 15 minutes. And once the timer goes off, then I completely take the emotion out of it and say, hey, I go check the task. If it was to clean the room, I go check the room. If the room has been cleaned within those 15 minutes, when the timer goes off, then we go on about our day. But if not, then we enforce. And I don't want to say a consequence. I really want to say we follow through whatever the expectation was. So if my kids understand that, hey, if you choose not to clean your room within the 15 minutes, then you choose to put your electronics down for the rest of the day. Then that's a choice that they're making. Or if you choose not to clean your room within these 15 minutes, then you choose not to, my kids are kind of fancy. They like Starbucks. Then we're choosing that when I go to Starbucks in an hour, you're not going to be able to go. You're not going to be able to get anything because you didn't do it. So you get to decide what that consequence is for your children if they do not do the task within the time. And so the third thing that a timer teaches us is, honestly, it teaches us about responsibility, or it teaches them responsibility, and also teaches them natural consequences. Because think about this. You setting the timer is, I'm giving you this much time. I'm giving you 15 minutes to clean your room, and they have to be able to assess that time. They have to be able to look at it for time management. They have to be able to think about the transition and also be responsible for how they spend that time. Now I'm going to tell you, when I first started setting the timer, one of the most difficult things for me was, if I set a timer for 15 minutes and you go back there, you decide to play in your room, right? And you decide to play for the first 8 minutes or 9 minutes or 10 minutes, my internal anxiety would tell me, oh, you're not going to be done. My internal anxiety would tell me that, oh, they're just in there playing around. So I had to let go of that need to control and be able to say, hey, I gave them 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, when the timer goes off, then I just know I have to enforce whatever it is that we had already talked about, or that whatever was agreed upon. And so that was one of the things I had to let go of. But also with setting a timer, with that teacher responsibility, is it teaches natural consequences. If I asked you to pick up the toys and I gave you 3 minutes to pick up the toys and you chose not to pick up the toys during that time, then you can no longer play with those toys today. Right? Or if it's for a younger child, if you were playing with the toys or you were playing with the markers and you didn't put the caps back on the markers and I gave you time to clean up the mess that you made, and you choose not to do that, and then you choose not to play with those toys again today, right? And so that's how we're able to enforce the consequences. And so even when it comes to the room, hey, you had the opportunity to clean up your room. You chose not to clean up your room within the 15 minutes. And so you won't be able to play your video game for the rest of the day. Or you won't be able to, whatever, like I said, whatever that consequence is that you have put in place. A lot of times, some of the consequences are natural consequences as well. And you can think about naturally what comes next. Right, naturally, what is the thing that will happen if they are not doing the thing that you need them to do? And so that is really how I came about using, and that's simply how I use the timers. So it definitely happened one day out of necessity, if I'm being honest, because I was tired of nagging, I was tired of fussing, I was tired of going back and forth about a simple task. And so I decided to implement the timer. But in that working for me, I then did more research, kind of about why it worked. So the things that I came up with are the things that have worked for my kids as well as some of the parents that I work with. Number one is, the timer helps us set clear expectations. Number two is the timer helps reduce parent frustration and nagging and taking away the power struggles that we sometimes can have in the home. And also the timer helps teach responsibility and natural consequences. And so one of the things that I encourage y'all to do is, if you're not already using a timer, I would love for you to think about one way that you can implement using a timer to help you remain calm in the home setting for your child, even today. This is something you can simply start today. You can use a timer on your phone. You can use a timer on our stove has a timer. You can use a timer on the TV. However you choose to use the timer. Or whatever timer you choose to use. So definitely I would encourage everybody to do that. And I want you to comment below if you use a timer, if this made sense to you, or any questions or comments or concerns that you have, please comment them below, because I would love for us to have a conversation about the timer and the use of the timer. And I just want to make sure that I'm not the only one out here that does that. And so one of the things that I'm offering right now is, if you want there's a link in the comments, because if you want a more personalized approach for your family, specifically for interventions or things that work with your parenting style, as well as the meltdown and behaviors that your children have, I am opening up 10 spots for my behavior breakthrough. And it's really what it is one-on-one support where you will get from me. And so there'll be some pre-work that has to be done. You'll get 90 minutes with me live coaching, and then we'll do some there's some post support that you'll get up to 21 days after we schedule our one-on-one. And so this is something that is usually not offered, and so we're only doing 10 spots. Please check the link out below, or if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments, DM me, and we can get the questions answered. Thank you all for taking your time out to come into our lunchtime live, and we are going to definitely be more intentional in making sure that we do the lives. And today I would love to hear from everybody about how they use timers and if it works, or if you try it, and I want you to let me know how it goes. All right, thank y'all.